Hello everyone, how are you doing? Today is a very special video. It's a follow-up to the video about the liability and who is liable and who's to blame in the COVID release from the Wuhan, China laboratory. We've got a lot of specialists out there who are confirming that factor. They've been trying to, discourage that or discredit those people who have said that. But regardless, we do have the actual finger pointing and factual finger pointing at that. Today, this video is coronavirus. Exposed Underwriter ANSI-ANAB liability to probable lab failure in Wuhan, China. Yes, the American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board are part and parcel. You should not, attorneys out there, you should not go after Wuhan. You should not go after China. You should go after both American companies, which in 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB. So it's basically one company with two different names, so to speak. You also have the IAF. You will find out when I give you this video, you will find out that ANSI and ANAB are called out not only on a website as an underwriter for the IAF and ILAC, which is the International Accreditation Forum, incorporated in Delaware, which was run by a communist Chinese national between 2015 and 2021. We will get into that as well. You also have the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. So the liability is all on ANSI-ANAB. We will show this to you. The reason why we do this is very simple. They say in many of their documents that we only certify the system. By them taking on the responsibility of liability for the IAF and ILAC. That means if there is failures in that system, an example is a very good example would be the landing gear failure on the F-35. Though they certify the system because of liability, Lockheed, though Lockheed sits on ANSI, ANSI's board, Lockheed has a basic suit against ANSI because ANSI-ANAB because they not only certified for quality of a system supposedly, but it negates the system certification in the sense that they take liability for that aircraft. And some lawyers will say, no, especially the ones around ANSI and around ANAB. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I've gathered. But you know what happens? They twist the law. They twist the law to their own liking. And we had a letter discussing this from a lawyer of 40 years, and I'm going to read you a snippet of it. Because this is what they will say when they'll say, that Gooberman, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, yes, I do. It is not just mentioned on a website, it's mentioned on a government DOD website for a solicitation where it says ANAB is an underwriter for the IAF. The IAF was controlled by a communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, while Randy Doty, you will see all this, while Randy Doty was the principal on its tax report. So guilt is guilt, and that's what it's all about. It is factual. So let me read you this little letter here. This I got from a lawyer several years ago. Nearly everything you see when litigating in a court, federal or state, is an illusion. In the political world, we call it blue smoke and mirrors. The Cambridge Dictionary, the definition of smoke and mirrors is something that is intended to make you believe that something is being done or is true when it is not. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary is true to form when it comes to ANSI and the half-a-nut fuck you mission statement that I was left on my cell phone in 2019 by a chairman, Russ Cheney, who got bent out of shape because I exposed an impropriety with a laboratory accreditor called A2LA. That you can find very easily. Google David Calhoun. He's of Boeing, but David Calhoun, I've said this in other videos, David Calhoun, you can Google. His last name is C-A-L-H-O-U-N space ANSI. So it's David, D-A-V-I-D, C-A-L-H-O-U-N space ANSI, A-N-S-I, and you will see. You can also do Tim Cook as well from Apple. You go Tim Cook, C-O-O-K, Tim, T-I-M, and you go ANSI at the end. You can also go Andrew Updegrove. That's a big one. He was rated, he also sits on ANSI's board. He was rated between 2004 and 2022 as a super attorney. Yet all I can hear him saying is this word over here by Russ Cheney, the chairman and super attorney. Yes, Updegrove. Andrew, Andrew, Updegrove. Updegrove. It will come up no matter what. ANSI after that. So basically, you also have the Merriam-Webster definition of smoke and mirrors. Something intended to disguise or draw attention away from an often embarrassing, unpleasant issue. Business owners, you're going to have a lot of data down below this video. What I want to get into is I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this mess. And I want to show you this because I want to show you the Underwriter. I want to show you that coronavirus exposed Underwriter ANSI-ANAB liability to probable lab failure in Wuhan, China. I am not going to go through the whole litany of this mess because I don't want you to get narcolepsy and fall asleep on me. So I'm going to go from where Randy Doherty. At the time, Randy Doherty was the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IAF. And what I want to do, I will do this though. I will go over the actual flow chart to show you this mess so that this way we can shorten this film up a little bit. The rest of the data, as I said, pertaining to this video, this message, will be in the description below. So you have this factor. In 2015, Randy Doherty, the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IAF, and also the principal on the IAF tax form 990, the IAF was incorporated and is incorporated in Delaware. He handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality since 1994, mind you. At that time, he was then given the chairmanship of the IAF, and then, to make matters even better, he is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, which certified the probable release laboratory Bio-Level 4 lab in Wuhan, China. Now, the China National Accreditation Services is in Beijing, China. He is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take your data. Any data, our data, government data, aerospace, medical, whatever, data. And he is mandated by the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. You have ANSI and ANAB. ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. You have both federal agencies and corporations on board. What makes matters really crazy here, business owners, is there's not one federal agency that sits on ANSI that has not had their data taken by China. Now you get a little bit fuzzy now because in 2017, Randy, at that time, was on the Department of Homeland Security being advertised as a private concern, which I always thought was illegal on a government website. That's like my business, Government PMC, being advertised on the Department of Homeland Security. Why they wouldn't advertise me? It's simple. Because the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, sat on ANSI. They sit now, they sat then, when Randy was on in 2017 on the DHS. You can find that on my YouTube channel as well. Just go DHS and it will come up. You can also go Andrew Moriakis, the DHS secretary. He's, you can do that. That's where it came under, and you will see Randy being advertised as a representative of ANSI-ANAB. You keep on going. Actually, it's ASQ-ANAB, but ASQ-ANSI, but that doesn't matter. All right, it really doesn't. What happened is during this time, you have a guy, Phil Matheson, a member of the DHS, sitting as a standards manager on the DHS, making $256,000, getting paid by ANSI plus the federal salary. So he's getting paid by a lot of our tax money. What a waste, I will tell you. Anyway, at the time, it was called a royalty payment, which that meant that he probably worked maybe 2 hours a year, maybe 6 tops, as that person that represents ANSI sitting on the DHS. At the time, too, the DHS had been hacked by China. So this is basically a conduit. We don't know whether Randy was handing data because at the time Randy sat on the DHS, his buddy who's been involved with our quality since 1994, he was on the IAF Incorporated in Delaware. We continue on. Randy stated this in an email to us. In 2014, he was at that time, he was the chairman of the IF, the principal on the IF tax report, and also the vice president of ANAB. This is what he said. He said this. He said, the IAF-MLA, which is a multilateral agreement organization, works to facilitate global trade and vision of certified, once accepted everywhere. IAF-MLA signatories are obligated to recognize certificates accredited to other IAF-MLA signatories as equivalent. So a company with an ISO 9001 certification that is accredited by the China National Accreditation Services, the IAF-MLA signatory in China is equivalent to the ISO 9000 certificate accredited by ANAB, which, let's go a little bit further. You will see that here he is. He's in Wuhan, China. At the time in 2017, now he was still the chairman of the IAF, okay? And he is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, handing over a certificate for 17025 laboratory certification in the Bio Level 4 laboratory in Wuhan. There's a slight problem there, because you will find out as we go on a little bit further, you will find out that the ANSI-ANAB are underwriters for this certificate. In fact, what he said, Randy, in other videos, and you'll find it here, an IAF-MLA is considered equivalent in accreditation to ANAB. So that being said, that means that ANSI and ANAB issue an ISO 17025 certification. The China National Accreditation Services issued an ISO 17025 cert in the lab, which means that it's equivalent to ANAB. ANAB's responsibility is on Wuhan, China. They are underwriters. IAF isn't an underwriter, but ANSI-ANAB is an underwriter for the IAF, and I'm going to get to that to prove it. You also saw that Anthony Fauci, under deposition from Senator Rand Paul, said he didn't know anything about gain-of-function research. I don't know. Well, the NIH, CDC, FDA, USDA, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson all sit on ANSI, by the way, talking about quality issues. Both Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson had millions of vials returned because they skipped quality processes and there was contamination in the vials of COVID. So you have that situation, and they sit right over by the FDA, right over by the USDA, CDC, NIH, and of course the FBI, who does, the investigation. So here's where Fauci lied. This is an actual document coming out of this, and I'll show you the book that I have that I will gladly ship you. The first thing is it is an upcoming event, second China-U.S. workshop on challenges of emerging infections, laboratory safety, and global health security. And you'll see right over here, you'll see the factor that the first one is gain-of-function research. And if you keep on reading it, you'll find out that they were preparing. Now, this meeting was going to be held in Wuhan, China, at the virology lab, Wuhan Institute of Virology, between May 17th and 19th. So you see all of this mess. And they were preparing for this outbreak of COVID. They were, when you read the bullet points. This is the actual booklet. This is the actual booklet that it came out of. You'll also see Zhao Jinwu in here. He's on page 2 over here. Also the French, there they are. They won't admit to that. He was out visiting the laboratory at the time when Zhao Jinwu, I guess, was issuing the certificate. It was, I guess, kill two birds with one stone. And you will find at the back of the document, you'll find the situation that, here it is, at the bottom is the same thing that I just showed you. I will gladly send you this booklet. It was converted from Chinese to English, and we will definitely send it to you. So now we get into the meat and potatoes of why coronavirus exposed underwriter ANSI-ANAB liability to probable lab failure in Wuhan, China. Yes, we have a Miss Pamela Sale here, who is a vice president of ANAB and ASCLD lab, which is owned by ANSI-ANAB. Okay, ASCLD lab sits on ANSI, right over by ANAB. And remember, as I said, ANSI-ANAB owns ASCLD lab. And you have A2LA also sitting on there, all happy and cozy next to these, like the Department of Forensic Science, which got their certificate taken away, an ANAB accredited certificate through the ILAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, which I've showed you on other videos. But this is it. Here it is. ANSI-ANAB are underwriters for the IAF and ILAC, the International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware, and the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. An underwriter, for those of you who don't know what an underwriter is, an underwriter is any party that evaluates and assumes another party's risk for a fee. Now here we go, business owners. They will try to deny it. Oh, it's off. Well, they took it off the website because I exposed it, but I copied it. I did a snapshot of this on 8/25/2018 at 10:05 p.m. So yes, they may say, and they will try to go around it, and their attorney, Jameson Carroll, said, I don't even see anything on this piece of paper. That's Jameson Carroll for you. But we continue. What really solidifies them as an underwriter is the document that I'm going to show you now. So for any of you who have lost family members and you have an attorney who's trying to sue Wuhan, China, that is not the arena that you want to go in. The companies are here in this country, ANSI-ANAB and the IAF, without a doubt. Now, they may come after me saying, you can't do that. Cease and desist. Well, we can't listen to them because their lawyer is incompetent, Jameson Carroll, or whoever else they get. You see what that attorney said about federal court and state court, that it's blue smoke and mirrors. So what I will do is I will take that cease and desist, even if sue me, you take it and throw it paper airplane. That's all it is. Smoke and mirrors. And I have that. Part of my expert witness is my videos. And that's what the lawyer said, and we have his name. We would not publish it as yet, but if we have to, in the arena of court, I cannot go because it is smoke and mirrors. So this is the actual solicitation number, okay, that you can look at. I will hold it here for a moment from 2018. Now, mind you, too, the most disgusting thing, it's, the DOD sits on ANSI. The DOD has gotten hacked by China. State Department, they're all entwined with each other. The worst thing is that they mention IAF in here as well. Well, in 2018, Zhao Jinwu still had control over the IAF. And then you have organizations like NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, whose national vulnerability database gets hacked in 2013. And now all of a sudden, between 2018 and now, they come out with NIST SP800 for cybersecurity. When NIST sits on ANSI, and they sat between 2015 and 2021, and they too got hacked. And you're having your dependent company on an incompetent organization like the Department of Commerce, which runs the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which sits on ANSI, right over by the FBI. On November 15th, this month, 2022, Christopher Wray, director, gets up and says, TikTok is a destruction of our country because they're involved China. But let me tell you something. His organization between 2015 and 2021 got hacked by China, and they sit on ANSI's board. Unbelievable. So on this, I actually sliced it a little bit so you can read it better. This is the actual slicing of this document right here, and it states, ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum, which means that they cannot say anymore that we certify the system. By them saying that they are now an underwriter, they take full legal responsibility. I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I think I definitely know more than Jameson Carroll, who is the representative of ANSI as a lawyer. And yes, we do know a lot more than he does, that's for sure. And to make matters even better, my customers want to know more about laboratory certification. So between 2017 and 18, I looked it up. I found the standard. I looked at the standard. I've looked at the standard before. It's a very well-written standard as long as you can follow the procedures. And your laboratory is within conformance of that standard. You'll find out that Pamela Sale, the vice president of ANAB and ASCLD Lab for laboratory accreditation, says, no, the laboratories are ad hoc. You'll find out. So I looked, and this is what I came up with. This was one of the titles of the articles that laboratory failures are happening in accredited, failures are happening in accredited labs. We also got a slew of articles concerning laboratory failure. We have a document that a Marvin Schechter wrote concerning ASCLD lab. This was from 2011. We sometimes have to go backwards to not repeat the nightmares of the past. So in 2011, in fact, this is what he wrote. In fact, ASCLD Lab could be more properly described as a product service organization which sells for a fee a seal of approval. And now those people who lost family members from COVID, those people whose attorneys are trying to sue China, those are not the people. The people here are the ones who are the underwriters. ANSI-ANAB are underwriters for IAF, International Accreditation Forum, and International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. So like the DFS, they sit on ANSI's board. By rights, they should have sued ANSI-ANAB, but do you see this? This is why ANSI-ANAB, this is why ANSI has all these government agencies on board. This is why they have these corporations on board like Lockheed Martin and Boeing. They're all trying to protect themselves. Well, my friends, like a burning ship, the rats will come off. Because you know what we do? We truly believe and live by it because my business is my company name, Guberman PMC LLC. Integrity, honesty, and the truth. And all ANSI says about their certification process is half a nut fuck you. And that's not me saying it. That's from their chairman, Russ Cheney. The worst thing is I applied for a director at large this June, okay? 16 letters of recommendation from my customers, a very, very fulfilled 54-page document. 9 questions were asked by ANSI, and it was about what we can bring to the table. The first thing we would have brought was get rid of this half a nut fuck you. That's no mission statement to have, but Russ Cheney said it. Not only did he say it, but you have Joe Batia, who's an inept CEO. He approved it. And so did his lawyer. His lawyer said, I didn't hear anything on the phone. Now, you've heard that. I told you, David Calhoun, ANSI. Google that. You do Google Andrew Updegrove. Google that. Google Mitzi Baum, ANSI. Do that. Google Tim Cook. Do that. And by the way, Baum is B-A-U-M. Google that, and you will hear what happened. I know the videos are long, but this is my deposition. Again, another one. This is deposition number 2, because this is without a shadow of a doubt. ANSI-ANAB are underwriters, which negates the factor when they say, we only certify the system, not the product. By them taking that responsibility of being an underwriter for the IAF, and an IAF MLA is equivalent in accreditation to ANAB. That means any failure out there, aerospace, automotive, electronics, a laboratory, anything comes under ANSI-ANAB. So this is what Pamela Sales said, and then I'm going to stop the video here. This is what she said. She said this, and I'm going to read it, number 1. She said, one of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs, phlebotomy labs, bio-level 4 labs like in Wuhan and over here, the same thing. One of the issues is that there are no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs around the country have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not, which means there is no process, there's no standard, there's nothing. It's almost like what Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson did, skipping quality processes and standards. She just basically said, yeah, that's what we do in laboratory accreditation too. They're responsible without a doubt. So this video again, and I will leave it here, business owners and my fellow citizens and my customers and my prospective customers. This video is about coronavirus exposed under ANSI-ANAB liability to probable lab failure in Wuhan, China. We leave it here, business owners. My telephone number again is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS @yahoo.com. And we do this, business owners, because you need to know this. You definitely need to know this. And for those of you, I've got 40 plus years in quality and manufacturing. medical implants, medical materials, aerospace, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt in every industry known to mankind. I look forward to hearing from you, and this is a fact. This is not any playing games. Once they said that they are an underwriter, when they tell their customer, we only certify the system, not the product, they do certify the product by them being the ones that are taking the responsibility of liability under the term underwriter. I thank you.